What surprised you the most when you joined the C-suite? What was your biggest surprise?
It's one that catches me every day. In fact, just yesterday I was talking to one of my team members here, one of our vice presidents. She's so encouraging and wonderful, and she's been here over 3 decades. And there have been times from time to time she'll say, "You're the CEO. You can do that." And I think I'm so inclusive, can sometimes be a little bit too collaborative, that I'm not willing to actually use the power of the office to know what I know we need to do. And so that was the part that I think has been both like, oh yeah, I can, I can. And yet you got to be careful when you choose to use that. You know, when you pull out the either we're going this direction or the coercive card, if you want to call it that, and use it very, very, I'll use the word surgically and not often, or make sure that you've gotten enough feedback and input before you go a certain direction while making it clear that who's got decision rights. I personally, that's taken me, I'm now 4 years into this CEO president role. And I remember it was earlier, it was probably last spring, as some issues were coming up around a direction I know we need to take our hospital. And there were so many who knew it was a direction we needed to take the hospital, or a decision, and in a particular case, a decision that needed to be made, where we had just revisited and revisited. And I said, you know what, Jandel, this is what I told myself. You have amassed a lot of political capital over 4 years. It's time for you to spend some. And, you know, then you go, oh, they're not going to like me. This is going to go so terribly. Well, I don't do things harshly anyway. I'm just not wired that way. I think even when you have to tell people hard news, there's a respectful, kind, clear way to do it, that they may not be happy with you, but you can sleep well that night knowing that you did whatever you had to do in a compassionate way. So, you know, there were some big decisions we needed to make as a hospital, and I said, you're going to just do it. And there's a funny thing that happens. First of all, the sun comes up the next day, even though you thought, oh my God, it's going to be this horrible thing. But the other thing is, it is precisely that kind of clarity that there are people, including some of the naysayers, who were sitting on the sidelines waiting for you to exercise. So you don't, no, I'm not a micromanager, and I am not top down, but I'm super clear when it's time for me to own the work. And so you just go there. And I also, I've told myself on some of those real tough times, both before becoming a full-time administrator, let alone with, you know, some really tough things that happen over the years in clinical medicine, is I said, you just have to be courageous enough to stick your head in the lion's mouth and trust that you've got lots of great friends and colleagues who will sew it on, sew it back on when it's all said and done. And that little bit of advice has served me well too, is that we don't do this stuff alone. And if you've got the right people supporting the work, supporting the mission, and supporting you, that they'll get you through all the tough feelings. If there are those trusted, quiet places that you can go to talk about how, man, that sucked, that was hard to do, and it was the right thing to do. And yeah, he or she was pissed off, or that team is not happy with this particular decision, but I know it's right, and they'll get on board. But don't be wishy-washy about it.
I love it. So what I'm hearing you say is that clarity is extremely important, not only just making the decision, but then having the clarity. And I love the metaphor, Jandel, about having a group that will help you sew the head back on if it gets eaten by the lion. I'm going to remember that one. Actually, I'm going to find a little caricature about that.